Well, thank you so much for coming this early morning, especially Friday, and to learn about the ACT, because we are so excited to open this accelerated program in our college and Sac State. So we're the team, as you can see. So.
This just has our names there
Okay.
too.
Okay.
I'm Kristen Alexander. I'm the undergraduate coordinator in the Child Development Program.
I'm Kimberly Biddle, and I'm faculty in Child Development.
And program coordinator for dual credential, which means the mild, moderate educational specialist credential, along with the multiple subject credential. So you can get 2 credentials, and the faculty in special education.
And we just have the names of some of the administrators in the college who support this pathway. So if you ever have any questions, we would be great people to come to. And
Yeah, so
I don't know if our email is on the handout that you have.
probably on the brochure and then
Unmi
yeah.
and myself
Right.
are on there. So
The reason is that you will be getting into child development, or you're already in the child development major, and then completing your BA, and then coming to the dual credential programs. That's why you're working with 2 chairs and the 2 program coordinators.
And so what is this pathway all about? It's a pathway, not a program, because actually you enter Sac State if you're a transfer student or a freshman. You're here as a child development pre-credential concentration student. And so once you're in that pathway, then that's kind of your undergraduate major and your undergraduate pathway. But what the ACT pathway allows you to do is start your credential coursework as an undergraduate. So when you're admitted to this pathway, then you have a certain sequence of credential courses that you take that will help you to get started on your education specialist credential for mild moderate and your general education multiple subjects credential.
So my credential, you will be able to teach from kindergarten age to 22 years old with the mild disabilities, the population, as well as if you wanted to teach in GENET first, the general education, you can go to teach from kindergarten to 8th grade. It's a multiple subject credential, so you have to teach multiple subjects. Yes. This is very broad. So you have a really great job options, because you can start as a GENET teacher or a SPED teacher, then you can flip, so that you can go to SPED first, and then teach a while. Oh, I want to go to GENET, then you can also go to GENET. On top of that, if you want to continue this program, you may get also master's degree included. It's we call the MAT, Masters in Education, as a classroom teacher. So you will be getting the credential first, but you will be getting job right after you complete your credential job. So which means you will be teaching, but while you are teaching, you can come back to take master's courses, which is 1 summer and 2 semesters as teachers.
So if you decide to continue, then that would be the extended period of time to leave with your master's, which helps with the pay scale and also obviously your knowledge.
Your promotions and knowledge and skills, and also you develop more dispositions as a good teacher supposed to be. Yes. Yeah.
How many semesters did you say that was for the master's after?
You will carry 15 units from your credential program to your master's. So you're going to have only 15 more units. It's all aligned. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a really great option for all students to get the master's degree added to your 2 teaching credentials.
And it's not something you have to figure out right now, because you will be taking the coursework that lines you up to go into that program.
Yes.
In regards to CSET, multiple subjects,
Yes.
when are you recommending that students start taking it?
Good question. So we're gonna go over in depth the course sequence. So the specific semester, we are suggesting that we want you to prepare early enough, and then we will be helping you to prepare in it'll be new course that you'll be taking. We call 190A and 190B. That's where we're going to help you to prepare and then pass. And after 7th semester of hold this program, you will be applying to get into the credential program officially. And that's when we will check on you again if you have passed, or if you already passed, out of the 3 sections, maybe at least 1 section you passed.
So to become a teacher, you have to take the CBEST test that has writing and math, and we're requiring that you have that done upon application for the program.
Yeah.
But the CSET is a more drawn out exam that includes 7 different subjects that you're going to be teaching in a multiple subjects classroom, and so it requires some more preparation. So once you're admitted to the ACT program, we are asking you to have a plan for how you're going to take it when you apply. So that means you've looked up where they offer it and what the structure of the exam is, and whether you want to take it all at once or whether you want to take it one section at a time, kind of what's your initial plan of attack. And then when you're admitted to the program, you apply in spring, and then in fall and spring, you're taking this course where you're doing some CSET prep, but you're also taking some of your initial credential coursework.
Yes.
And it's throughout that year and the following summer that we're hoping then you will have passed all your sections of the CSET before you start that next fall. So that kind of, does that answer your?
So it is very carefully, scheduled, and also kind of we are scaffolding what you are taking when, so that you can move on to the next semesters along with. So based on our, for experiences in both programs, like special education, child development, we know the content, so we will be helping you to carry on, units as well as the content accordingly in each semesters.
Another thing I think it's important to consider when you're considering getting your dual credential is what are the job opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah. So I work with about 14 different school districts in this area for the special education to place our special education teacher candidate to complete their fieldwork component of courses. So we are very aware of where the jobs are, especially nowadays, the teaching position in special education, especially resource specialist positions for students with mild, moderate disabilities in this area, a great needed area. So let me give you just examples of what's happening at this time, this week, that I got a call from HR director from local school district. She needed five teachers for students with mild, moderate disabilities. It's a high incident disabilities, so we have a lot of great need in this area. And she couldn't find the teachers. Of course, this is already 6 weeks for our semester began. So she is asking me to provide intern teachers, which means you haven't finished your credential program yet with us. So you are still with us as a as a students at the university, but you're going to get a job as an intern teacher at the end of the whole program, so that one foot belongs to the school district because you are fully paid special education teacher, and the other foot you are still at the university to try to complete all the courses you need to required to graduate. So that's how much we need the teachers for students with mild, moderate disabilities in this area. That's why we got this grant. That's why we are doing this active program to meet the needs of these, our local school districts to provide the teachers.
One other thing is that the group will be cohorted.
Yes.
All of you will be together and starting together and taking things, your classes together.
Yeah, so that actually is a good segue
Yeah.
to the roadmap. So kind of going over the details. Can I stand over here?
In your
There it
packet,
is.
we didn't intentionally insert any roadmap yet because we're gonna explain. It's kind of complicated, but without explanation, you will be understood today. Okay, so
So-
let's try.
We have two
Yeah.
different roadmaps
Right.
that we'll give you, and we can give them out now. The issue, the reason we didn't want to include them in your packet is because it labels it by year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You might be in year 4 right
Yeah,
now.
already,
Because you've
yeah.
been taking
Yeah.
classes slowly, and what really matters is that you do these things before you apply, that you do these things in the program, and this is how you get your credential. So you can kind of decide which one is more useful to you. If you're a freshman, then you would probably want to be on,
Yeah.
have in mind the more accelerated plan. But if you're a junior, you may want to take the less specified plan.
Okay.
So the less specified plan is what we've put up here. So if you have the other one, it'll tell you, it labels all the semesters, semester 1, 2, 3, 4, and year 1, 2, 3. But essentially, pre-act may be, it may, like I said, be 4 years. Because basically what you're doing is you need to complete the Child Development 35, Child Development 35F, or their equivalents, and FACS 50, which is the Family and Community course. You also need to complete your lower division GE coursework. So you're kind of working on all of that. We would recommend during those initial phases of your education. And then we also ask that you take these courses, finish up your lower division GE coursework, Health Sciences 136. That's something you can take here on campus at Sac State. It's also something that most local community colleges have an equivalent. So if you don't know what that equivalent is, we'd be happy to help you figure that out. EDUC 100 A and B and 170 are upper division courses that are offered here, but we do have a few local community colleges, such as Sac City, who are starting to offer these courses or equivalents to these courses. So they won't be called that same thing. So again, if you're interested in trying to get those in at the community college level, talk to us.
Those 100 and 170 courses are pre-required courses. It doesn't matter which credential in California you're going to apply, you must take this kind of classes. It's a CTC requirement. Okay, so as you know, Kristen said, there are a couple of colleges who are already offering the similar courses. So when you bring it, we will look at it, the content, then we will provide equivalency so that you do not have to take it at our own campus. But if you haven't taken it, then you can, take it here. Yes, yeah.
Go ahead. I just wanted to answer your question about 35F. You had asked about 35F. Some community colleges do have an equivalent to that, but you can also take it here in the spring. You can take it here this spring. Okay.
And so one thing to keep in mind is that you're applying for ACT in January, February, in the spring. So if you're transferring here, you've also just applied to come to Sac State. You may not know things yet. You still want to do this application. It's a separate application because basically it's an application to let you start taking these credential courses right when you get here. So that's kind of what this application is for. Your CSU Apply application to come to Sac State is your application to be admitted as a student at Sac State. This is specifically to get into these credential courses. So if you find that you haven't taken the 100A and B and 170, you can still apply, and then you would just need to take them in the summer. And we would guarantee that you would be admitted to those courses in the summer here.
We offer, for example, 170. Every semester we offer about 10 sections. Summertime, we also offer 100 and 170, like a face-to-face. But also, I taught last summer, I've been teaching 100 for many semesters. Many summers. I teach only on summer. I teach a 100 online course. So there are a couple of faculty transfer their course as an online course, with including myself, so that we can offer you so many sections. And then I had students from Nevada, because the person happened to be there during the summer, but because it's an online course, she was able to complete without any problem these pre-required courses this past summer to get into our program this fall. So there are options for you to do that.
Right, so if you want to avoid summer school, then get those in beforehand, but otherwise you can apply and just say, I don't have these 2 classes, but I will take them over the summer.
Also, another thing that although you will be taking these courses as an undergrad status student, but these belong to credential program, which means it's a credential courses, which means you do not have to have a waiting list. We provide courses that you need because of credential candidates are our top priority when we offer the courses. So you're not going to have any trouble to get into these credential programs. We have a wonderful staff in our college, and one of them is Linda Lohia, and she sometimes asks you, Eileen, you missed this, then we need to add you to this specific course, specific semester. Then she will get your student ID and your name and section number. Then she will enroll you to the class. So no problem to add any courses in credential program.
So just to point out, it's these blue courses that are your credential courses. So those are the ones that we would put you into. For the child development courses, they won't be cohorted. So we can help you figure out your schedule and help you figure out which classes to take. And we do have a more specific roadmap that maps out kind of every class that we would recommend you taking, but it also can be distracting if you haven't taken all those classes, because this is really what's required, what's necessary. The others are just recommendations. So if you are a freshman and you're really wanting to go in this direction, then I have that specific roadmap, and it lists out pretty much every class you should take every semester. It can help you round out your preparation for the CSET exam and things like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing is the child development courses, even though you're not cohort, we can advocate for you to get the section that you need because you're in this program. Once you get accepted to this program, this pathway, this pathway, we can advocate for you to get the child development course that you need.
So the best scenario would be, what we want is that we have enough people who signed up for ACT, pathway, so that like at least 20, then we can have a separate course. For example, if we have only 5 altogether who apply next to the ACT, then we cannot have a separate course only for ACT candidates, right? So you have to take those courses based on the course offering schedule with other regular candidates in our dual credential program. You got that, right? However, if we have about 20, then we can have our same sequence by the full-time faculty here, but we may have a separate course only for ACT, so that we can really target the needs of the ACT candidates. So advertise with the students that your peers. Let them know and let them apply this ACT program.
So this EDUC 190 A and B is the course, the 2 courses that Dr. Cho was talking about that kind of support you both in the CSET, but also in professional development, kind of developing your identity as a teacher, as a general education teacher, as an education specialist, and kind of addressing some of those issues, getting out into the field, getting into the classroom, and processing all that with your classmates.
Right.
So that's what this class is going to involve. It's not going to be the kind of writing intensive classes that you might be used to in child development. Question?
So are those only offered to people in the program? Because I retook the CBEST, I passed it, but I haven't taken the CSET. So it's only for,
But talk to me, that we may open it up to a broader group of
Yes.
students,
Okay.
that's still kind of up in the air.
Right.
Because like she said, we need to fill our classes, and I
Yeah.
do think that it would be of benefit to other educators as well, so that's still up in the air. If you are a current child development student, you might see this child development 128 and say, I haven't seen that class. I've already taken child development 123 or 133, which are our research methods courses. This course was specifically designed to smush those classes together. So if you've already taken 123 or 133, then continue on that path and take both of those. But if not, 128 is, if you're admitted to the ACT program, that can take the place of 123 and 133. So you have one research methods course rather than two. If you're not admitted to the ACT program, then you would need to take the two research methods courses.
Yes.
When are students actually, when do they start their field work or student teaching?
Okay, good question.
What
Yes.
semester?
So let's go through the timeline a bit. So pre-ACT, you're doing all your lower division child development required coursework. You're doing your lower division general education coursework and graduation requirements, and applying for a certificate of clearance, which is kind of the fingerprinting process for you to get into the classroom. But then January or February, before you want to start that ACT program pathway in fall, you are applying, and it's through a supplemental application process. So by that time, hopefully you've taken the CBEST, but you probably haven't taken the CSET yet. So you're thinking about what that's going to look like. Then starting, so then let's say you're qualified applicant, you're admitted, you have all your prerequisites done by fall, you're cleared, certificate of clearance. You come in, you still have some child development courses left, but then you start taking some credential courses. So these are some classroom-based courses.
So 119 is about the legal and social issues in special education and social justice and stuff for population with disabilities. And 229 is a curriculum and instruction course where you learn how to write a unit plan and lesson plans, how to work with the students. So you may have, it's not an official field work supervised by the university supervisor yet, but the faculty may ask you to go to a classroom to implement. So there will be some component.
But at the same time with 190A, you are doing some hours of field work. Not a lot of hours of field work, but getting you into the classroom. And so the purpose of that is so that when you're given these assignments, you're in a classroom setting.
Right, right. And then 232, that I teach that course, and then this one require you to go out to the interview, the families and teachers in instruction assistant, which means you will be in the classroom to interview them. So it's a kind of field component embedded. Again, it's not official CTC required field work yet, but you will be in classroom to complete this course assignment. And then 293 is the strategy course that where you meet with the other general education, like a multiple subject and single subject candidate. We put them together, we teach this instructional strategy course for you to also participate. You're gonna be attending IEP meeting or student study team meetings. So you will be in classroom while you are taking 190B. And then EDSP 314 and 316 are math method as well as science education method. So you are not learning about content per se, you are learning how to deliver, how to teach this content for the students, okay, to meet the needs. So you will be in the classroom, yes. But it's not, to answer your question, it's not supervised. So you need to complete the assignment in classroom, but not necessarily a supervisor will go out to monitor or observe your work there, okay?
At the same time as you're taking those, you're working on child development classes and then your upper division general education graduation requirements. So then your second fall semester in the ACT pathway,
Yeah, that's, now you're, starting to complete your multiple subject credential already. So you are doing the first field experience course in special education, or you can choose general education as well. So that's the, like a 4-unit course, that's the official supervised field work, field experience course. So somebody will be going out to your own class where you will be field experiencing as a teacher candidate. Okay, so Monday through Thursday, half a day you will be there while you are taking classes. So you will be coming back to campus to take classes while you are also field experiencing in the field. And then supervisor will be helping you. And then you will be working with your cooperating teacher. We used to call mentor teacher, master teacher, right? So you will be visiting somebody's class where I place you as a teacher candidate, and then there is a teacher, and you yourself a teacher candidate, you will be co-teaching together. Then we send the supervisor from university so that they can observe your teaching and then provide very constructive feedback so that you can move on to next level. So that's it. That's the first several one. Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, although you'll be applying like in January of 2020,
Yes.
you will enter the program fall, right? You won't enter in spring of 2020. You will be entering it fall.
Yes.
So also when you're starting your student teaching here, you're starting to really immerse yourself in the classroom setting. You're wrapping up your child development major. So at this point, you should have 120 units and be graduating with all of your major requirements. And at that point now, you've already taken, as you can see, 12 of those credential courses. So that's kind of the head start you're getting. So the benefit of the ACT pathway is there, that it's allowing you to use all those courses in blue. All of those units are going toward your undergraduate degree. So in order to graduate, you have to have 120 units. And so it's worked out basically so that you'll have 120 units by the time you get here if you follow all these unit patterns. So then you're graduating here with your bachelor's degree, and then you are at that same time applying for the credential program in a more official capacity. So you're not just admitted to taking the classes in the credential program, now you're actually admitted to the credential program. And so starting here, you're considered a post-baccalaureate student.
Can I ask, sorry, again, one other question, a follow-up question in regards to that. So when students are graduating and finishing up the bachelor's program, and then they officially start the credential, those units are gonna count post-bac, right? In regards to like pay and salary schedules for teachers?
After BA.
Right.
Yes.
How
So
many units for the credential, after the bachelor's for this program?
Oh, I did not calculate.
28.
28.
But the agreement that the districts had, at least the way I understand it, I don't know if you want to talk about it differently, is that on the transcripts that are delivered, there will be a list of credential courses, even though they're pre-bac credential courses, and the districts have agreed to use those toward pay. So basically, when you're a teacher, they're going to look at how many post-baccalaureate units you have, and we wanted to make sure that our students aren't at a disadvantage because they're graduating having used a lot of these units toward their undergraduate degree, so they won't be post-bac units. However, we've been told that the districts are that we will list those separately, and that the districts will count these courses that are toward the credential as post-bac units. Does that make sense?
So after you come into the credential program, now you are starting to take the more specialist credential courses. So you will be completing the following semester. You are already taking major like advanced level of specialist credential courses on the spring of the 4th year, right? These are all specialist credential courses while you are doing also your student teaching. So at this time, I'm kind of assuming, predicting based on my experience here is that a lot of you will get a job as an intern teacher. So most teachers who complete their multiple subject credential first, and they get a job in special education as an intern teacher. But in order for you to be an intern teacher, you have to maintain your GPA and also supervised field work. The ratings exemplary, has to be exemplary. So, which means you have to excel. Because this is an accelerated program, we expect you to excel in the classes as well as at field. Then you are ready to become an intern. Then when you finish the special ed, then you are completing more special education credential and also completing multiple subject credential. So for the act, just one change we have to make was that the regular students in dual credential program, they usually complete their multiple subject credential by 3rd semester. This is a 2-year program for dual credential, but we could not do that because we weren't sure if we're going to have a full cohort to separately offering courses only for candidates yet. So when we propose, we have to do this way, which means that you will be completing specialist credential before you complete your multiple subject credential. So your case may be getting a job as an intern in Janet. Because you are getting 2 credentials, it doesn't matter where you get a job as an intern teacher while you are in the program. But it must be at the end of the program, not from the beginning. Okay, all right?
Yeah, so starting this semester when you are considered the post-bac student, then you are in the classroom full-time, right?
Yeah, you will be, so either you will be student teaching or you will be intern teachers, which means student teachers, you are going to another teacher's classroom because you work with a cooperating teacher, mentor teacher. You don't get paid, but you need to student teach Monday through Thursday, only, so that Fridays you can sub full day or you can catch up on your assignments. So it's a full day, the teacher contract day. So that's the student teaching. And also, if you get a job before you complete this whole program, we call you the intern teacher. You are the teacher on contract, right? So you will be there Monday through Friday. Yes.
Okay, so then you are completing your credentials here. There was something else I wanted to say, but now I'm not remembering. That's it. What is the advantage of this? What really is the acceleration of this program? So the dual credential takes 2 years to complete. So let's say you take the traditional 4-year BA path for your child development degree, and then 2 years for your education specialist and multiple subject. That's going to be 6 years. If you go for those 15 units per semester-ish, then it's a 4.5-year plan. So that's kind of what it's saving you. Depending on where you're at, if some of you who've been on different pathways, alternative pathways, if you're ready to start classes, credential classes in the spring, unfortunately, we don't have them available for you to start the ACT pathway in spring. So depending on which pathway you're on, it may be of great benefit for you and save you 1.5 years, and maybe even save you 2 years essentially, because if you get out into a classroom as an intern, being primarily trained, that would be even more of a savings. But for some of you, if you've already graduated or you're about to graduate, like next semester, it would make more sense for you then to finish up your bachelor's and go on to the dual credential program. So that's just kind of the benefits that this program would offer. Are there any other questions so far? Okay, so now we're excited about this. We want to apply for this program. What do we do? So this kind of goes through if you want to do some long-term planning. So you want to maintain your GPA.
Absolutely, yeah.
2.67?
Yes.
2.67 GPA.
Yes. But when you come into the credential, it's a 3.0. Yeah. But you can get a C, one course, throughout your program. It happens. But since you are gonna get the rest classes B or A's, so it averaged out. So 3.0 is the minimum in credential program.
Complete your lower division general education coursework. So that's what we were just talking about on the roadmap, as well as the lower division child development courses that are required, which also on here is not FACS 50, but you would want to make sure you take that also.
Yeah.
Also, the health sciences 136, like I said, there are equivalents at most community colleges. So whether you're a student who started here as a freshman or wherever you're at in your career, you should be able to get these complete in addition to FACS 50 before you're applying, or while you're applying. You can be enrolled in them when you apply. That's fine as well. And then these, if you have the opportunity to take EDUC 100A and B, which is the special education, and education 170, bilingual education. If you can take those before you apply, great, or while you're in that semester that you are applying, great. Otherwise, you can take them that summer.
Yes. For the 40 hours, the field work that required before you come in is that, I teach at church. So I do the disability ministry every Sunday. So it takes me about 6 hours. I live in, church. So 6 hours every week. So you calculate how many, hours for last whole year. So that counts. If you volunteer at the classroom, or if you volunteer for teens with disabilities, the summer camp, that also counts. So any work that you volunteer or you worked with the students with and without disabilities, and if you are working as a instructional assistant in classroom, that counts. So yes.
I was just going to say, Child Development 35F has a 40-hour requirement
Already?
for field work that's built in. And also Child Development 132 has a 40-hour requirement for field work.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And 100, EDUC 100. A section is a 2 hours lecture, but the B section is a 30 hours of field work. So you have so many hours already you need to bring into us.
So it's another benefit of getting those courses done is that you're automatically completing your hours that are required. Also, if you are looking to apply this January, February, you want to get on that CSET or CBEST right now so that you can get that passed before you're applying. You can have taken it, but those results will need to come in relatively shortly after you apply, because that will be an admission criteria. Also, your plan to take the CSET. So like we said, if you've taken it, passed it, great, but we know that you're early in your academic career and want to give you a little bit more time and support to complete that CSET exam. So we do want you to do your homework and figure out what the exam is all about and when that would work for you to take it. But on the application itself, you'll be indicating what your plan is to take it.
And I just want to say that Karina,
Right.
who is here, can help. Can you help with
Explain.
CSET preparation? And she's here today at this info session. So.
With some really good questions.
I would love to just add real quick in terms of the CBEST basic skills requirements. There are 8 ways to meet basic skills in the state. The CBEST is the first and more popular way that our students meet basic skills. But I would be happy, as well as the other advisors upstairs, to meet with you, review your transcripts. If you have qualifying scores on your SATs, if you took them in high school, your ACTs, if you have qualifying scores on your AP classes, and so on and so forth. We also offer a variety of other resources like peer mentors that can sit down with you and assess your writing They could, walk you through the other two sections, the math and the reading. We also have study books upstairs in our resource library. We're located on the 4th floor of Eureka Hall, right next door, in the Student Success Center. So we're in 437.
Do we have any financial support for this
We do,
exam?
yes.
Oh,
So
good.
we do offer fee waivers for students who are multilingual, no longer Spanish, if you're first generation, and if you are a financial aid recipient.
That's great. Good to
Was that
know.
and for everything you just said?
Not
or-
necessarily, it's
Okay.
cool, not necessarily. So
Okay.
I'd be happy to meet with any students if you want to talk further. Any of the above criteria.
Do we have any seminar, workshops?
We used to offer the workshops, but now what we do is do more one-on-one and small group tutoring for all of the exams, for all of the sections for CBES, and then for a variety of CSETs. And so for sure the multiple subjects, CSET as well. And even
Yes.
just to start, how to
Yeah.
tackle it and kind of come up with that action plan about, how to prepare and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Also, I wanted to clarify the CSET, 7 different subjects. It's not only for multiple subject candidate, it's for the specialist candidate to demonstrate their subject matter competencies. As you can see, with your Marma teaching credential, you're gonna get to teach from K through 12, and then 18 years to 22 years old in the transition high school program. So you need to know all multiple subject, right? Demonstrate all those subject matter competencies. So it's not only for the multiple subject, it's for both.
And on the application cheat sheet, if you see that, it does have a little bit more information. I'm glad Karina brought up that the CBES isn't the only way to satisfy that requirement, and it does list out, but not the specifics. So it would be great to talk to someone if you think you might have one of those other things before you take a test that you might not need to take.
Right. So when to apply?
Right.
Yes.
So you want to apply. Applications will be available by November 1st. It's a supplemental application, so it's not going to be through CSU Apply. It's not going to come with a fee. It's just going to be a link to basically a survey that you're going to enter your information into, and that's your application process.
Yes.
And so we just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. When you start the application, you want to be able to have all your materials ready. So that's why we're trying to prepare you by giving you a list of what kind of documentation you're going to need before you sit down to fill out the application, because you'll want to have all of that available. So, but make sure you get it in by February 1st. File complete date, have everything in, because we want to tell you whether you're admitted to the program, and it involves an interview process to get in. And so we want to make sure we can get through that whole process in time for you to register for your undergraduate classes. So we can get you into the credential classes, but we don't know which child development classes you're going to need. And so, like Dr. Bill said, we can support you in getting into those classes, but we'll need to know which classes that you would want to take. And so if you're in the program, obviously you're going to be taking fewer other classes because you'll have those credential classes. So the application, I know you can't see this very well, but I thought we could point to it here, because it's basically, it is exactly just copied from here. Do you have one of these?
Yes, they have. Oh, I don't. Yes.
So first is evidence of your units, GPA, and coursework, and so that's going to be unofficial transcripts. So you'd want to have those available. We don't need official transcripts, so don't worry about ordering them and paying for them. Your self-documented completion of prerequisites, so that's just going to go through each of those prerequisites and ask, have you taken this? And if you took it somewhere else and have an equivalency, tell us exactly what that course is so that we can verify that. And then if you haven't taken 100 A and B and EDUC 170, then you're planned to complete it. Either you're enrolled in it during that semester of application, or you're planning to take it over the summer.
But I suggest that you take it during the regular semester to save money, because summer, it's not from the College of Education, it's from the continuation College of Education. So it's different colleges. So because it's a summer and operated by the different college, it's more expensive. So I strongly suggest you to, try to take it during the regular semester along with the other courses you are taking.
And if you are someone applying for this pathway and you're not able to get into those
Mhm.
courses, come talk to us
Yes.
so that we can try to support
Yes.
you getting
Yeah.
into that. Your list of experiences, so it asks you very specifically, where did you do
Mhm.
your 40 hours? So that is there. And then your basic skills requirement. And so that's where we talked about you've either taken and passed the CBES or you've met that requirement in some other way.
Mhm.
Or you have confirmation of registration, but your test date needs to be pretty quick there once the
Mhm.
application is due, because we can't admit you without having passed that. Subject matter competency, so that's the CSET. And for that, we're just asking either that you've taken it and give us your score
Mhm.
report, or your plan for completion. And so there'll be some specific questions there about your plan.
And for the CSET, probably you have a better idea, but it's a 3 sections because they clusters, like a math and science together, language art with the social studies together, like that. So you wanted to focus on which section I wanted to target first, because I don't have students who went to take all 3 sections and pass that once. Usually they target one section and study a little bit, and then, study a lot, and go there and then pass it, and then target second section and then pass it. So that's the usual, pattern of our students get passed. Yes.
But if you know yourself and you're a strong student,
Right.
some people take it
Mm-hmm.
all 3 at once.
Okay.
And they
It's
pass.
hard to do, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
cheaper
doable.
that way.
Yeah,
too.
cheaper,
Oh,
cheaper,
nice.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you said that, so you do have to pay every time.
Yes,
Yes.
there's a
Awesome.
registration fee and a test fee, so if you
Yeah.
only have to pay that registration fee once for all 3 tests,
Right.
then you're saving that.
Or try all 3 at once to see, then target the next section, yes.
They offer the practice test online. We always recommend that students do that diagnosis first, just to see where your strengths are
Yeah,
and assess which one, because a lot of students think, oh, they're sort of dismissive from the 3rd one, the visual performing arts section, the 3rd subtest. And
Yeah.
so it's typically the one we've seen students not pass, because they tend to prep more for math and science, even
Oh.
history,
Yeah.
and then they'll fail the 3rd subtest.
I see.
But yeah, we recommend the same idea.
Yeah.
Take the practice online, see which one is easiest for you, and then focus just on that one.
Mhm.
Because to dive in and then to prepare and try to study for the 3 at once, it's pretty, just see for yourself.
Yeah.
Also, like we said, the background certificate of clearance, so you can either already have that done, or you can have applied for the certificate of clearance. If you have any, what is it, legal action, or I don't remember the
Drunk
wording.
drive.
If you have anything like that in your
Yeah.
past, it will take longer for the
Yeah.
certificate of clearance to
Yeah.
clear, so you'd want to apply for it now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you apply, by the time you apply for the ACT pathway, you should be cleared by the time you start in fall.
The certificate of clearance, what is it clearing, like,
Fingerprints.
oh, that,
Yeah,
oh, it's
yeah.
not like you have to
Yeah.
take the CBES.
No, no,
No.
no.
Oh, okay.
However,
Is after
yeah.
caregiver background check your?
Yeah, it's a background checkup, and I have a current case that one of my students got a ticket during the summer, which we didn't know, and so she applied student teaching this semester, and as if that she was a regular student teacher. So I placed her. She was starting. Then we found out that she was not able to clear from the Department of Justice, the DOJ, so we are still waiting for her to get cleared. In terms of that, then I need to pull her out from the student teaching, or even if without that, without COC clearance, I cannot even place you. You shouldn't be in front of any classroom children. So that's the bottom line. So that's why we are checking this every semester.
Yeah, so as long, if there isn't anything in your past, if you apply, in that January time period before your February application goes in, you should be fine by August when we start school. But like I said, it doesn't hurt to do it early if you know you're headed in this direction.
Right.
Reference forms. So it's going to be a form that you'll want to have an academic reference, experience. So if you are out in the classroom, if you taken Child Development 35F or something like that, you can have somebody fill that out based on your classroom experience, but also it's nice to have an academic reference.
Right.
This is an accelerated program. We don't want to set you up for failure, so
Right.
we want to make sure that you have academic support as well.
So tip is that you want to get one from your academic, like professors, and then another one from the field that you worked with before or volunteered, so the directors or classroom teachers. Yeah, those are the good people. Yeah.
And it's a form, so it's relatively straightforward for
Yeah.
people to fill out. It shouldn't take too much of their time. But that's something you don't want to go the day before, hey, can you do this for me?
Yeah.
Might not feel as positive about
Right.
that if you do that. And finally, the personal statement is something really important, and it's something you want to be at least thinking about even now as you're getting ready to apply. And what we're going to ask you, we start by just kind of giving you the mission of the teaching credential pathway, reminding you this is an accelerated pathway. So we are asking you to write a 1 to 2 page personal statement describing your motivation for becoming a teacher, why the field of special education interests you, and link in your experiences that might continue to shape you into a socially just educator and advocate for diverse children. Explain also your motivation to accelerate entrance to this field and what qualifies you academically and personally for this accelerated pathway. So those are kind of all the things you want to address in there. And I bet your professors or if you work with teachers would be happy to read it with you or go over an outline even before you start writing, just to make sure you have some really focused writing. But it's a great idea to have someone read it or multiple someones read it beforehand, because that's going to be an important document. That's kind of going to be our way to actually get to know you, aside from just all these grades and papers.
So to summarize that what kind of candidate we want, because this is an accelerated program, we really want your commitment to fully devote your time and effort to this program with us. You are not alone. We will be helping you to get there, and we really wanted to train the socially justice teachers in this area to embrace diversity and also children with disabilities, and with open-minded as well as a growth mindset as a classroom teacher. So inclusive practices with the socially justice-minded teachers. Those are the teacher candidates we really wanted to train through this active program.
We have one or two more minutes.
Yeah.
Are there any last questions?
Yes,
So
Sally?
these requirements, they're similar to if I apply to the regular credential program.
It is similar, but it is accelerated.
Accelerate.
Yeah.
So
the-
the prompt here for
Faster.
the personal statement is a little bit different to kind of gear you toward that, but absolutely all the CVS, CSET, anywhere in the state of California, because we're all regulated by the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. And so that's what she was saying, the prerequisite courses you need to take to get into the credential program and the test, it's all very regulated.
So to answer your question, there are 2 ways that you apply to the regular credential program to be a teacher candidate. One, you're going to apply for CSU, which means that it's university-wide. So that usually comes first. And then we have a supplemental application process, which you are doing. So you are doing supplemental application process first. And then later, when you apply to the credential, like right after the 7th or at the end of the 7th semester, that's when you're going to apply to the university as well as supplemental one more time. So for active candidate, we are doing 2 times, but this is kind of more. It's a formal process, but more relaxed process. because we wanted to know who you are by looking at you, because we don't want to have everybody come in without this screening process and then such a failure because you are not ready or you are not committed enough to be an accelerated students. So that's why we are doing this, to get to know and get to learn about you more in depth, so that we can be helping you individually.